Welcome to the 60-second nervous system test and reset drill. I'm Becks from Journey to Wellness, a counsellor and nervous system and somatic coach, and you are about to discover an easy way to test the state of your nervous system right now, whether a practice works for you, and a potent tool to quickly shift you from stress toward a state of rest, digest, and restore. Let's begin by getting a gauge of your current state so we can see with biofeedback just how effective this drill is. And at the end, I'll explain the science behind why this works so well. First, our pre-drill test with a range of motion test. So begin with me by taking your gaze over to the left. Stop when things feel like they're tense and your neck no longer wants to go any further. And take a note of a spot on the wall or an object so you can remember your range. As an additional extra here, you can take your right ear and tip it down towards your left collarbone. Again, stopping when you feel like you hit a sticky point where your neck doesn't want to go any further. Remember that range, come back through center, and now repeat this on the other side, taking your gaze over to the right. You can also take note here of the quality of your breath, of your felt sense, the state of your emotions, and of your thoughts. You can tip your left ear toward your right collarbone for an extra range of motion test. Now let's move on to the 60-second drill. We begin by tipping our left ear toward our left shoulder. And now take your gaze up and to the right, just as far as your eyes will comfortably go without creating any strain. And as we do this, I invite you to drop your shoulders, sliding your shoulder blades down your back, to let go of any bracing, gripping and tension through the belly, and to soften your breath. Now we'll come back through center and we'll take our head over to the other side. So tipping your right ear toward your right shoulder and then taking your gaze up and to the left. Again, no forcing or straining here. Dropping back into the breath, feeling the weight of your sit bones. You may notice here a sign of release or parasympathetic nervous system activation in the form of a yawn, more saliva or a deep spontaneous sigh, or a big swallow. As you're ready, we'll come back through center, and to complete this exercise, we'll take one VU breath together. We'll inhale, and on the exhale, we'll make a deep resonant VU sound. You ready? Inhale and a little weird, but well done. Now we're on to testing our post-drill range. So repeating the same test we did in the beginning, taking your gaze over to the left, and noticing the range of motion of your neck. Wonder if it has increased. And again, we can take that tip with our right ear toward left collarbone. As you're ready, back through center, let's check the other side. Sometimes there are differences between sides. So noticing whether your gaze is further around from the spot you noticed before, and then if you wish, you can take that tilt and tip through the neck. And back through center. It's likely that you experienced a shift in your range of motion. So what just happened there? And why does it work so fast? When we turned our heads and tipped our ears towards our collarbones, we were assessing the mobility of your upper cervical spine, specifically your C1 and C2 vertebrae. These vertebrae sit right at the base of your skull, and they have a direct relationship with your vagus nerve, which is the main pathway for shifting your nervous system from fight, flight, freeze, and fawn into a state of safety, calm, and connection. That's what we call the ventral vagal state. Here's the cool part. Your vagus nerve doesn't just run through your chest or gut. It originates in the brainstem, right at the level of your suboccipital region, which is where your C1 and C2 vertebrae live. When your head and neck are out of alignment, even slightly, it can create tension or restriction in this area, and that can interfere with vagal tone, your body's ability to regulate itself and return to safety after stress. Your vagus nerve is like the brake pedal for your stress response. The exercise we just did is from the work of Stanley Rosenberg and is called the half salamander variation. And here's why it works. Your eyes are deeply connected to your suboccipital muscles, the tiny muscles at the base of your skull. And when you look to the left or the right, those muscles activate, gently releasing tension around C1 and C2. Holding your gaze activates the oculocervical reflex, which helps realign and soften the upper neck region. This can allow for a more unimpeded flow of vagus nerve signals. And then adding in the VU breath activates your vocal cords and diaphragm, two major structures innervated by the vagus nerve. The vibration of the sound also helps calm your system by triggering your parasympathetic rest and digest branch. When we scan and everything is safe in our internal and external environments, C1 and C2 come into place. We get adequate blood flow and we feel calm. In short, you're mechanically, neurologically, and vibrationally resetting your vagus nerve from three angles: upper neck alignment, ocular and suboccipital muscle coordination, and vocal vagal stimulation. That's why even just 60 seconds of this practice can improve your range of motion, reduce tension, and help your nervous system shift towards safety. If this worked for you, I suggest sliding a drill like this or one of the other powerful drills or routines from my membership into your day. I recommend trying this one twice a day, in the morning and in the evening or afternoon, and using it as an extra or one of my other practices or audio guides like the anchor, bilateral stimulation, 3-part breath, or havening after any triggers or stresses. Your nervous system learns through repetition and safety, and I can't wait for you to experience feeling safe and at home in your body.